My birthday is November 22nd, 1977, by the way, too. All double digits. 112277. So I'm here for a reason.
We were partying, we were doing shit. We ended up doing ecstasy that night, so we're gonna have a good time, you know, shooting the shit. And I just remember falling asleep and waking up in little visions of him fucking fingering nose off, and I'd wake up and he would be there, and I'd look up and her stepdad was watching and laughing while it was happening, and the worst part about it is I was on my period. So it was pretty damn gruesome for me.
It's humiliating.
I passed out and I woke up the next morning and I was like, did this really happen? He was in there, if you know what I'm saying, getting his thing on. I wake up the next morning and they're all just staring at me and laughing, dude. She had no idea. And it was so fucking awkward. My boyfriend told me not to go and I did it anyways because I'm the party girl. And I never talked to her about it until 4 years later. I ran into her and she told me that she knew something happened that night. And she told me he was a piece of shit and she ended up leaving him. But moral of the story is don't fucking trust anybody, because even your best friends, dudes, will try to fucking do some things and that shit. I'll never forget that moment. It was so humiliating. Try waking up to your best friend's mom and dad and boyfriend and daughter and sister there all knowing that what the hell just happened while you're on your period. That's the worst part, dude. Anyways.
So we're cruising through downtown Quito at like 5 a.m. Doing nefarious deeds and end up back at this guy's place. Not sure where it is. At some point, I guess I sobered up enough that I realized, what are you doing here with these people you don't know? Some guy who's like selling certain things and a club owner. So I decided I'm gonna leave. I happened to like not have any cash and my phone was out of charge. So I started walking down the road, flagged down a cab. It's like, where do you want to go? Like, I need to find my hotel. Well, where's your hotel? I forget it. It's Hotel Bernard. I'll never forget this for the rest of my life. But every time someone asked, I could never remember it. So he drops me off in downtown. I end up wandering around the area for probably 3 or 4 hours. Still stumbling drunk, ripped clothing, probably look a complete mess. Stumble into this woman's like clothing store. Por favor, ayúdame. Necesito encontrar mi hotel. Pero no puedo recordar el nombre. And so we flip through a phone book and finally we find it. Hotel Bernard. It's about 2 blocks over from where I've been wandering for hours. And I get back there and make it to the room. About 11 a.m. My poor friend's been worried sick, thinking that I was dead, which I almost could have been. And then we went to visit the Equator, which was a very rough drunk cab ride. And that's my story.
I got a call from her telling me that she was going to kill herself. And so, very panicked, drove 45 minutes to my friend Lindsay's house. On my way, I called her friend that lived close to her, told him to go over there to make sure she was okay. He knocked on the door, couldn't get an answer, showed up to her house about an hour and a half later, and I had an extra key, so I just walked in. My best friend had killed herself. She had shot herself in the mouth. Ounce of heroin in the toilet. She wanted to flush it, and she couldn't. And so she took the only way out that she knew to be clean forever.
Do you know how to keep someone in suspense? Hang on a second. I'll tell you in a minute. Okay, hang on. No, I don't. I don't have Tourette's. God, everybody that knows me gonna look at this just like freaking out, like what's wrong with him? Nothing. Watch this. Yeah. I got a candle, man. I got a candle. I got a candle. Oh my God. I don't know what to do, man. It's a candle. Throw the thing into a wall. Shit. You know what? I should really just burn the place down. Well, here I am. And then there was light. I think somebody else said that once. For those of you that don't know me, I was a former ATP Tour Pro. 400, something like that in the world, 300 in the world, 400 in the world, 500 in the world, something like that. Anyway, played the qualifying US Open, Wimbledon, all that kind of jazz. Bam! You know, there's a forehand. Oh, bam! There's a backhand. Oh, faster. Anyway, enough of that. It was all a bunch of crock shit. All of it. Except for the candle.
On to Shreveport. So I go over and pick this shit up Friday afternoon. Spend 6 hours over there waiting for him to leave. Come park the truck, come home for the weekend. Sunday night I drive over to Shreveport, go over to the place. I sit out there for 3 or 4 hours waiting for them to get in touch with me. They back me up to a dock and then they refused the load because it wasn't straight cardboard. It had trash mixed in with it and they didn't want to separate it. So I called my boss and she said, well, you just stay there at the dock and I'll call and straighten it out. I said, they ain't unloading it. I mean, it's not going to happen. So I sat there until they got pissed off at me. Pulled around, she called back and said, well, I can't do these things. So then I came back to Dallas and for 20 hours of work, I made like $80. And then the next day, she dragged me in her office and decided what she wanted me to do was to load in Forney, Texas, Friday afternoon, deliver in San Francisco Monday morning, and be back in Dallas Thursday morning so I could have a day off and do it again. And you know what I did? I gave her her key to the truck. It's just got to be horrible.
In March of 2014, my mother passed away, and it was pretty tough. We basically did not have the funds to bury her, and she didn't have the insurance, and so I had to kind of pull from the people around me and just kind of, they really, really rallied around me and helped me raise this money to, have a cremation and a service for my mom. The funeral home that I chose, I didn't choose it because I was looking for them. Apparently they had done my cousin's funeral. Everything just seemed so normal. Everything was normal, and I say it seemed normal because I'd never ever actually buried anyone or had anyone cremated. So for me, I was just grieving, and everybody's so nice to you at first. My mother, as I was doing her makeup, she leaked from the nose and she leaked from the mouth, and I didn't know that wasn't normal for someone who was deceased, but apparently she had not been embalmed. I got ashes in a black box that you usually get it in, but it didn't have a tag in it. It didn't really have an identification. And again, you're grieving, and people are supposed to take care of you at this time. So I just took the box. Turns out that it was actually a young male. It was someone else's child. A few weeks after receiving her ashes, the story breaks. Johnson Family Mortuary, they've been kicked out of their actual place for non-payment of rent, and they left 8 to 9 bodies, including a baby, inside this building. And one of those people was my mother. So the actual day that everything broke, my brother had to go out and we had to re-identify my mother's body for the second time. And it was just hard for me because they did to her everything that she didn't want. My mother was in a building for over 4 months, non-refrigerated. So imagine what's happening to her body. And she didn't want those things to happen to her body. So they just threw her away like trash amongst a baby and other people that were in that building, and giving us either fake ashes or somebody else's ashes. And there was other families that had received ashes of someone else. So we really had to search for our families. We still have a family searching for their father. So the Johnson Valley Mortuary, they really didn't care about us. We went to court. We fought vigorously for a theft case, and also the mishandling and desecration of a corpse. And not only did we put him away for 2 years, that's as best as we could do, but we also got the law changed here in Texas. As of September last year, it is no longer a misdemeanor. It is now a felony to desecrate a body that is no longer alive. So every day, like, you know, even though people really don't hardly know about this law, every day, every person that I look at, everybody that I talk to, that's what I did it for. Like, I did it for you. I did it for my husband. I did it for everybody in Texas. And hopefully, maybe we can do it for everybody in the U.S. It took this happening to me for me to actually get involved with my senators and my state reps. And we went through every channel possible until we got that law passed. So I say that don't let your faults turn you into victims. Let them turn you into visionaries and lawmakers. You know, get out there and speak about what's going on personally in your life and figure out a way to help change it, not only for you but everyone else. And that's why I decided to do this interview today. I decided to do it because I was hoping it would bring me a little peace.
It came to the millennium in Y2K. It was a very exciting evening. We went out, had a few New Year's Eve parties, normal celebration. No major catastrophes happened, the world didn't collapse. But about the time I went home, my phone rang, and my mom was on the other line, pleading desperately for my help. She'd been up for several days on the help of some methamphetamines, and called to tell me that we had a cat that had went into labor. The cat didn't quite manage to deliver the kitten, and one was hanging out. She had tried to help the kitten along and deliver the cat, and in the process the cat had proceeded to bite half of her finger off, and she needed help. So me and my boyfriend at the time went over to the house. We come in to find my mom desperately running around, finger in hand, blood spurting, kitten running around, kitten hanging out. My boyfriend at the time looks at me and says, "Don't worry, I've got this." He takes off into the other room, comes back a few minutes later, oven mitt on one hand, jar of Vaseline in the other. 2 kittens were alive, and we managed to keep them. My mom spent 3 days in ICU with a very icky finger wound that had to be reattached. But the world didn't melt down, and Y2K came and went. 2 kittens were born, a finger was sewed back on. Happy New Year.
When I was growing up, we didn't have a whole ton of money, and but we never really knew it. Mom always made sure that we had everything we needed. Dad always made sure that we had good food on the table, we had good times, we watched really fun movies and stuff. But my favorite thing about that time was we lived on a farm, and every Christmas we would make dozens and dozens of cookies, any kind you can think of. We did regular peanut butter, we did the one peanut butter with the little Hershey Kiss in it, we even made some shortbread ones and we turned them into little candy canes. And we gave them out because we didn't have the money for gifts. We didn't have the money to give out gifts to our whole church or the community or whatever. So we would make these cookies, and it was fantastic fun. And we dipped pretzels in chocolate and made fondue stuff, and we made our own candies. And just looking back on that, all I take away from that is that what my mom made sure, my dad made sure that we felt was that there was love in the house. So the house was never empty. The house was never lacking. Our lives were never lacking because there was just so much love saturated in those moments. And that's what I want my life to continue to be, is those moments with those Christmas cookies every year.
Starts back when I was 16. 15 starts back when I was 16. 15, actually. I met a girl. She was 12. And we started dating. We're boyfriend and girlfriends all the way through high school. And she became pregnant. And we aborted the baby. She became pregnant again, and she had the baby. By the time she graduated, we got married about a month or two after she graduated. And we were best friends. We played basketball together, we fought together. If she got into a fight at school, I got into a fight at school. And actually, I met a girl. She was 12. And we started dating. We're boyfriend and girlfriends all the way through high school. And she became pregnant. And we aborted the baby. She became pregnant again. And she had the baby. By the time she graduated, we got married about a month or two after she graduated. And we were best friends. We played basketball together, we fought together. If she got into a fight at school, I got into a fight at school. Her cousin was telling her that she should go back to work and she should have her own money and, you know, be a self-made woman. And she did. I remember she kept looking for work, and I kept telling her, no, babe, now's not the time. The baby's not old enough. Someone raped her and killed her. After that, I struggled with sanity, suicidal thoughts, just sanity. God really blessed me. I remember writing God a letter, telling him that I really needed him to do some things for me. I remember writing it and sticking it on top of the refrigerator. I felt like he could read it better, he could see it better if I put it on the refrigerator. So anyway, I was drinking really heavy, smoking really heavy, but I didn't sleep in the room. I slept in the living room. There was a girl involved. I had a girlfriend on the side. I'm ashamed of, but that was the case. I used to drive the car. After the police gave it back to me, I used to drive it. And I hated it, and I cleaned it, and I cleaned it, and the stench and the smell was just unbearable, but I kept cleaning it, and I would drive it, because I didn't have no other car. I would drink while I was driving, because I couldn't stand it. I was just trying to drown my sorrows. I was unsuccessful. But I went to a major dealership there in Denver, Colorado. Still there to this day. And I remember picking out a car. I remember pulling up and all the salesmen stood around the car gawking, you know, laughing, because they didn't know what happened. And I didn't feel like telling them. And they were just gawking at the car because it had tape and stuff around it, you know, forensics and missing paint from where they were trying to get fingerprints and stuff. And I remember looking at a car and the guy told me, you can't afford that, you know, it's $10,000. And I said, all right. But I felt like I heard a voice tell me to go look for a car. And so I did. And I went back home. I was crying. I went back home. A couple days later, I think maybe 3, I don't know. I must have talked to somebody and I must have told somebody my story. And the guy called and said, hey man, when are you coming to get this car? And I said, what car, man? He said, the C28. I said, man, you guys told me I couldn't afford it. He said, no, I didn't tell you that. He said, the car is ready. You've been approved. And I was like, really? I was approved? And he said, yeah, man, you was approved. And so I went up there, man, and sure enough, they sold me the car. They took mine on a trade, gave me $4,000 for it. And I didn't have a driver's license, I didn't have no money, I didn't have a job. And one of the guys even paid for the insurance for me to take the car home. And so I drove home with a car. And I remember saying, wow, God, wow, this is incredible. You know, I really need to know that you cared, that you were listening to me. And I said, I'm really, you know, I was just amazed because I wasn't living anything worth 2 cents. Saw a house that I liked. It wasn't far from my mom's house. And the guy asked me if I had the money, and I said, no, I'm gonna have to save up, you know, I don't have it. And the guy reached in his pocket and he said, now you do. And I said, dude, are you serious? He said, I'm very serious. I said, man, that's cash money, man. You don't even know me like that. And he said, nope. He said, you could run. And I can't even call the police. I said, I know, because my dad's a realtor. You know, the fact that you dealing that, you know, I know that's illegal. He said, yeah. He said, but I want to help you. You know, I could tell you a lot more detail, a lot more things jumped off, but hopefully you like it. All right, thanks.
I was invited to a radio station here in Dallas to do an interview about my work, my film and photography. So I show up at the studio and I'm on my motorcycle and I pull up on my bike and there standing there outside the building is a mom with her 2 kids, both about 8, 9 years old. One a little boy, one a little girl. The little girl was dressed like a princess. She had the pink gown on and she had a wand and a crown. She was adorable. So I pull up and get off my bike. She runs right up to me and she's like, is that yours? And I was like, well, yes, it's my bike. She goes, would you start it for me? I said, okay, sure. So I get on the bike and I start it up and it was a big Franken bike, just black, loud, mean son of a bitch. So I strike the bike up and all of a sudden she just jumps up in the air, jumps up and down, couldn't be happier. Little boy was scared to death, covered his ears, ran to his mom. But the little girl, I killed the bike, I get off and the little girl comes up to me and she gives me this huge hug. And she says, you're my prince. So I'm sitting outside the radio studio while he's finishing up his previous interview. And while I'm sitting there, the little girl runs up to me and she says, it's my prince. And she runs up and she gives me this big hug again. And I said, oh, hi, sweetheart, how are you doing? And as I'm sitting there, she just looks at me and she says, wait, you promise you're my prince? You swear you're my prince? And so I got on one knee and I took her tiny hand and I looked at her and I said, Princess Fair, I swear to you, on my honor, my life, that I am your prince, and that I will battle any dragon that threatens your kingdom forever. I give you my word. And she was so excited that she squealed with joy, and she bopped me on the head with her wand. Now, why that's so significant to me, and why that's my story, is because after going through this tough breakup, I had built so many walls around me. I had worn so many masks, I had tried on so many types, and I surrounded myself in walls and spikes. And this little girl saw through all that bullshit. And she blessed me. So I'm forever thankful that she touched me with her wand, and she reminded me that I don't have to be that way. It meant the world. I'll never forget that. Thanks for watching.